I wanted to discuss this crazy situation where the worlds of journalism and art have kind of collided with a bang.
Who is Banksy? An investigation by a team of Reuters reporters from across the globe has finally uncovered the truth.
Reuters say that 3 of their journalists have unmasked Banksy, the world-renowned street artist who has lived anonymously.
Well, that's pretty conclusive evidence. Can we now say that Banksy is Robin Gunningham?
Yes, absolutely.
Rather than paraphrase, I wanted to hear throughout this video from the people who actually wrote the article and actually exposed Banksy. There's this great interview you can watch with 2 of the guys who wrote the article. Great video, it's going to be linked below. So I've tried to be as impartial as I can with these edits, but this will be them in their own words. The mythology around Banksy that Robin Gunningham, the alleged Banksy, created was such a wonderful modern Robin Hood tale of this artist who would go out there and break laws in order to shine a spotlight on the truth through art. And in the same way, enrich the entire art world. It's a classic case of someone doing something that lifts everybody together. It created art, it added joy to the world, it added a sort of a Robin Hood style figure that people could latch onto and feel some hope with. And I think my initial reaction when I read about this, and I saw the reporting on the reporting, was that gosh, these are thieves of joy who are stealing a little bit of hope from people. And that's watered down slightly as I read the piece, and it's a very well-written piece. It's actually a great read. It would make a great movie or something, but it frustrated me so much at the same time because these journalists with such incredible journalistic chops could have taken down somebody far more important. And regardless of whether it was intended as a takedown, it's definitely not written as one. But regardless of whether it's written as one and intended as one, what this ultimately does is it serves to undermine Banksy in a way that they didn't need to do. It was just unnecessary. It's unnecessary, it serves no greater social purpose. And that was what journalism always was meant to be about, serving a greater social purpose, informing people, helping people stay up to date with what was going on in the world, making people think differently about the world. Maybe I'm romanticizing journalism. I am, but it's such a beautiful art form in itself when it's done right. I also think that this artist had done so much for introducing younger people to the world of art and also bringing, along with a few other key people who've been incredibly important in that space, but bringing street art right to the forefront, right into the public imagination and legitimizing it, and kickstarting the careers of potentially, tens to hundreds of thousands of other artists whose work might not have been legitimized in the same way without sort of his trailblazingness, if that's a word. I don't think it is. So what happened? Basically, these 3 Reuters journalists worked for a year on this in-depth expose of Banksy, unmasking him, following this kind of paper trail of all these clues. I'm looking at police reports, looking at travel patterns, looking at when Banksy pieces showed up and correlating them with this person, Robin Gunningham's travel patterns, apparently, to unmask him. Interestingly enough, also, they unmasked the wrong guy, or people have been circulating, I should say, pictures of the wrong guy. I think a builder or a plumber or something from North London, some Greek guy whose property Banksy happened to do a piece on, and he was then clearing it up and got photographed. He's been misidentified as Banksy, which is hilarious and very funny, and I feel so sorry for the poor guy because apparently he's been screaming out, please stop calling me Banksy, because people are harassing him thinking he is Banksy. And obviously Banksy's always going to say, I'm not Banksy, but this apparently legitimately this guy is really not, and it's a bit funny and a bit hilarious, and the poor guy's just being harassed non-stop. So why does this matter? There is so much going on in the world. Why is this important right now? And it would be a great question to actually ask those journalists and ask Reuters, because I'm intrigued by this one too. Why is this so important? Why did 3 journalists task themselves for a year to this with all the other stuff that's going on in the world? This artist who could go out there and say the things other people couldn't say, pull off these stunts that nobody else could pull off, and make comments on things that, other people did dare comment about, but bring them into the public eye in a way that nobody else could, and kind of outing what was already an open secret. So really what they've done is they've not created any new revelations. They have confirmed a name that was already out there and has been circulating on the internet for a long, long time. It was a bit of like an open kind of secret. People kind of nodded and went, cool, okay, it's probably this guy, but we're not going to push it too hard. And it seems to me such a short-sighted thing to do in a time when art is so important and art is so vital, and this was a voice that was saying things that a lot of other people couldn't say. But also then, serious journalism is also suffering right now. And this is probably part of why they did it, because they needed the money, they needed the clicks, they needed the views, Reuters needed traffic, I'm guessing. Even though they're a news agency who on-sell things to other people, maybe those articles weren't selling. They needed a big piece to remind everyone, hey, we're here, look what we can do. I think the unfortunate reality of this, though, is that I think this sends a really strong message, though, to young artists, people who might dare to venture to create art that actually says something, that they're going to come after you, that you're not safe. And look, I don't expect journalists to be protecting other people for the sake of art continuing. But what I do expect them to do is make good judgments about who it is they go to take down. Because they used all the tools that you'd go to use to take down, you know, a bad guy, a people smuggler, a drug smuggler, a criminal mastermind of some kind, a murderer, a psychopath. They used all of the tools they'd use to take those people down. To take down the equivalent, the modern equivalent of like a Robin Hood, a good guy.
But we've seen that reflected in the kind of response we've gotten. I think the most remarkable ones are things I probably can't repeat.
But there have been some sort of angry emails for sure.
I think in a way this is deeper than just journalists doing their job. It shows that they're sort of willing to break this social contract. And I think there is this important social contract that a lot of news organizations have forgotten between them and their audiences, the masses out there, that journalism is for informing people about what was going on, bringing to attention to people what was happening in the world around them in a way that benefited sort of the majority of people. And what they've done here is they've broken that social contract by outing somebody who hasn't necessarily done anything wrong. Let's throw the, slightly illegal acts of graffiti or whatever to one side for a second, because I think, society had sort of more or less accepted those as a whole. Nobody was pursuing Banksy for spraying up a wall or anything like that, or criminal damage or anything like that, because of the value, the cultural value and the monetary value that his works created for people within the arts establishment, within the system, no doubt for the rich, those sorts of people as well. But what this sort of shows young people who want to become artists, and as I say, the common person, is that really journalists will stand up for the establishment first. They will go ahead and unmask and point the finger at somebody who is putting out a positive message that helps the world, while seemingly not chasing down the people who are doing awful things in this world.
We thought as we were going through this, first and foremost, we wanted to just figure out the answer. Like, what did we have here?
In terms of sort of public interest, Banksy is one of the world's most famous artists, and he helps shape political and social discourse. And, given that huge popularity and his, profound impact on contemporary culture and the art industry, etc., we felt that the public had a legitimate interest in understanding just how cultural figures operate and how his pseudonymity functions as a brand.
I don't want to come off all conspiracy theorist about this. This makes me think of the Ian Malcolm argument in Jurassic Park, where he's talking about the scientists creating the dinosaurs. Ian Malcolm is the only person who stops to ask the question, just because they could, does it mean they actually should? And did they think about the repercussions this will have? And in this case, with Banksy, it's the cultural repercussions that this reporting has. This is the crux of it as well. A lot of these mainstream media outlets are struggling so much to maintain trust with people, and they come under such fire and are questioned so much online that they could have fought back the right way by doing people-focused journalism that helped real people. And instead what they've done is they've gone and served another master. They have served maybe their own egos in showing, look what we can do, kind of like the Jurassic Park scientists. They're just thinking about what they can do for the glory and not about the cultural repercussions this will have, not about the young artists who will get put off creating works that say something important because they don't want to get outed in this way. They don't want to be identified by journalists. I think it's a sad and it's a scary moment for artists who have a very strong message, a political message, who want to comment on what's going on in the world. I hope many, many artists fight back. I hope if this does in some way bring Banksy down, and I don't actually think it will, but if this were to alter the way Banksy was able to create art being outed like this, then I hope many, many more step up into that place and become the anonymous forces of power that say things that the rest of society don't feel empowered to, from this place of creating great art that captures people's imaginations. I know there are a lot of people who would look down on Banksy because of the street art element of it, because of the illegal nature of some of the works he's created, even though normally those seem to get forgiven because of the value they create. The police boxes in London, London Zoo, all those sorts of things have become great examples of how when art is created like this, the value it can add, and the conversation it can start as well. And I'm just really interested to hear how people feel about this, whether you think it does affect Banksy's legacy. Maybe it gives this person a chance to step into the limelight for the first time if they wanted to and use their voice. Maybe it will help amplify Banksy's voice. And I actually really hope that's the case. I really hope in the face of being unmasked like this, that Banksy, Robin Gunningham, if indeed this is all accurate and correct, because it's not concrete, this isn't 100%, there is no verification, there is no 100% verification that Robin Gunningham is in fact Banksy. There's just some very, very strong connections. It could be somebody who's traveled with Banksy and helped keep him anonymous even. It is a fantastic read at the same time, and I'm going to link the article below. It's frustrating because I would encourage you to read it, even though it does make Reuters think, hey, we've done the right thing here, because it's such a well-created piece. And this is the frustrating thing. Fellow creatives going after an artist is such a frustrating thing to see. When they could have done something interesting and thought-provoking and clickable and sellable about Banksy that didn't ruin the myth in this way. I don't know what that would look like. I'd love to discuss this more with people. It stinks of the kind of thing I'd love to sort of do a live stream with and have a chat with a few people about. I'm fascinated by other people's thoughts on this story because it's going to be such a polarizing thing. But I just don't think there's any net positive for society or net worth in revealing this to the world in the way they did. That's my thoughts on the Banksy situation. For more on the world of arts and creativity and how to get the most out of your creative tools, I'm going to be making more videos again very soon. I know I've been away for a little bit. I'm not going to make self-indulgent videos about why I've been away and all that sort of stuff, but just life and work and all those sorts of things did indeed get in the way. I've got some more very fun stuff coming very, very soon. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you did, take care, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and see you next time. Bye, love you.